up, YouTube? It is your boy Skinny Moose.
And your boy Fat Squirrel.
And today I brought on the legend himself, the Southern Deathmatch legend, Freak Show. So, what made you become a wrestler?
Oh, I've always enjoyed it, of course, since I was a little boy. But I had a job where I was working at this chemical plant, and there was this lady. She went around cleaning. She did like janitorial stuff, and I was a big dude, so she just so happened to say, my husband's a wrestler, and you're a big guy. Why don't you come down there and check one of the shows out and maybe talk to him afterwards or something about maybe doing it. So I got one of my buddies and we went one Friday night and right after the show, of course, yeah, I was sold on it. I went and talked to them and they gave me the price for training and I was there the next week ready to train.
Check in.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
How did you come
Oh,
up with the name Freak Show?
Oh, well, I didn't start that way. I had a few silly, stupid names really to start with, two or three actually, but I end up going with Iceberg for probably like 5, 6 years, up until the very first Carnage Cup that was shut down, where I was booked on the same show as the other Iceberg. And he was like twice as big as me and had been doing it a lot longer than me. So I decided I would be Freak Show and you can be Iceberg.
that Iceberg man, he was huge. Like I was like watching him, and I was like, wait a minute. I know there's Freak Show who went by Iceberg, but there's an Iceberg, two icebergs,
Yeah,
and it kind
he's
of messed me up. I was young, and I was like, this ain't the same
yeah,
guy. There's no
he's a
way.
scary dude.
I
He's a
know
very scary dude.
he told me, he's like, is this the same iceberg that you're talking about? I said, which one is it? He goes, the one that's he don't mess around with anybody else. He's just a big old dude. I said, no, that's not the one I'm talking about. I said, there's another one too.
Yeah, he had actually he had been in the business longer than me, and he had that gimmick way longer than me. So I had no problem letting him be who he was. And actually, I was a part of a tag team at the time that was going by the Freak Show, and my partner ended up just we had a falling out, so I just kind of stole it. So I came up with it anyway, and I just kind of stole it and called myself Freak Show.
That's cool.
I understand that. So how was it being in a tag team with Insane Lane, 6 feet under? I mean, y'all ran the besides uh fuck, the Devil's Rejects. Y'all was running the independent scene.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. I don't know. There you already know there's not at that time, especially there wasn't a lot of guys from the South doing death matches and stuff. So of course, when they seen that me and him we always wrestled each other on all these local shows, and we'd bleed buckets and do just the craziest shit in the world. So they'd be like, okay, let's put these two guys together and send them on their way, basically. And that's what happened. And I mean, it took off. We fit right in when we got to Mid South, and just went from there, basically.
Insane Lane, he was really cool. He spoke about you, and it was really highly. And I was like, hey, I grew up watching both of y'all. My wrestling back in the day was Deep South. It still is. I grew up on it. That was actually my first promotion that I checked out. I was like 5, 6 years old. My mom's ex-boyfriend bought it, and I was like, "What is this? This is something that I've never seen." And from there, it was just Southern matches. So I know you've been in plenty of them, including a War Games match.
Oh yeah.
Um, so who would you say taught you the most about wrestling and the business?
I guess really, I mean, you do these local shows when you first start out, and then when you finally get the chance to travel is really when you start learning, I guess you'd say. And really, I'd have to say I learned the most probably from Ian. And
Oh
the,
shit.
and the just the things that he knows about wrestling is just, the knowledge is unbelievable. He smartens you up to everything you need to know as far as, in the back, what a wrestler needs to know. He knew it all, and he gave me tips on how to do promos and things in the match that just make sense. So I'd have to say him probably. When I got to that level, I probably learned more from the things he would teach.
So you had a good encounter with Ian because I know you worked with Ian a lot on and off over the years.
Yeah, yeah. He liked wrestling me. All them guys liked wrestling me. I was a good punching bag.
Yeah, you was one of the workers that I say could bleed. And if you ever put the lace and boots back up, I know that you're gonna run that damn promotion. You're gonna put that show. You're gonna put that show in the ground. I mean, every I don't really think I've seen you in a bad match, honestly.
I've probably been in a few, I'm sure.
Um,
I never really thought that highly of myself. I never considered myself one of the top guys or anything, but I always considered myself the guy that was going to be the one that stole the show, no matter where you had me.
I've noticed that a lot of older wrestlers like Pondo and stuff, they don't like the word. And y'all are like, I don't like the word legend. I don't look at myself as that. And I'm like, hell, ain't y'all?
Yeah, you don't really think of yourself that way, and we're just normal people like anybody else. We just was crazy enough to do a bunch of stupid shit to ourselves for a long time.
So, what made you hang your boots up?
Oh wow, that's a good question. Really, it just the promoters are just so cheap, and it just I guess I had got fed up with that, and then really, I guess the main thing is the amount of disrespect from the younger guys. Yeah, I mean, it's like they took over the business, like cockroaches take over the projects. I mean, it's bad.
I understand
And,
that.
and
I
instead of
understand that.
and instead of me keeping myself in there and getting in there with some dude, one of the boys, 17-year-old son that he's putting over as a wrestler now because he got in there and took a few bumps. I'd get in there and hurt somebody like that and just get myself in trouble.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, you don't want to hurt nobody and, get yourself in trouble. So, I understand that. And, these younger kids, I'm 25 and I've seen it in the business. They come in, they think they're top quality. And
Okay,
actually, you
they
need,
not.
in my opinion, if you've only been in the business for not even 10 years, shut the hell up and listen to your veterans and listen to your legends and listen to the ones that actually been there and done that and take their advice.
Yup.
Yeah, that's what I did when I was a younger guy, and I credit that to how I turned out like I did. I mean, but when you were young, you just sit there and shut up. You don't say a word. You just keep your ears open and listen to everything you can hear.
I've sat down with some of the best and picked their brains, and I'm just like, it amazes me what y'all do and the stories that y'all hold. And it's not that like just y'all's matches because y'all have much more than just a match. Y'all have actual stories to tell.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could tell a better story doing the things like we did than you can with just doing a regular match. I mean, there's more. It's much more you can add to it.
Because the newer generation compared to the older generation had love for the business. They enjoy doing what they did. The new generation's all about money. It's all they want.
Yeah, they just want to get their face on TV. That's all it's about nowadays.
Paycheck and then they're done. Like, no, bro. You can't
And
do
and it's not about being an athlete anymore. It's about being a good actor. Can you act good? I mean, if you can act good, you can probably maybe make it to TV.
And I think that's why so many workers get hurt, is because they don't understand, like, this ain't fake like what you heard growing up. This is real. The moves are real. Like, it may be scripted, but the moves are real. The weapons are real. when you get cut open, the blood's real. Like, come to reality here. It's not a video game.
Yeah, when I came in the business, you had to be able to handle yourself, or you'd get handled. I mean, those older guys were not going to mess around with you. They could care less if you were in there or not. I mean, they'll hurt you if you mess it. That's why I say, like you sit there and shut up and listen to what they say. You do what they tell you to do.
Yes, sir. So, speaking about the younger generation, what's your thoughts on the new up and coming generation of wrestlers?
Like I said, it's just most of them. There's some that I'm not going to say it's all of them, but it's just like we were saying, they don't want to sit there and listen. They want to do. They already know everything when they get there. So, especially it's a lot of guys that are like the other boys' sons. They get their family involved, and they don't really go through training like they're supposed to, and then they get in there, and then they hurt themselves or hurt somebody else, and then, oh, why'd that happen? Well, maybe it's because they took 3 bumps and you put them in a match. And so there's more to it than that. I mean, training's hard. Training's the hardest part of wrestling by far.
So, I've heard that from some workers that when they come into the business, like, think of a Drew Blood, he's like, for the first month, they beat the shit out of me just training me. I couldn't do nothing. It was all taking a beating. And I'm like, that's crazy.
Oh yeah, I remember after my very first night, I was on my way home, and I was hurting so bad. I stopped at a convenience store, and we still had payphones back in 1998 when I started. I stopped and called my mom on a payphone and said, "Mama, well, I'm hurting so bad. What can I do for sore muscles and joints? I am beat to
Jesus.
death." Yeah, those guys, the guys that trained me, yeah, I bumped at least 100 times my first night, and then I
Damn.
had to go right back the next night and do it all over again the very next night.
Oh, fuck.
And I was working a shoot job at the time too, so I was working 40 hours a week then too.
Oh, I know that has to hurt wrestling and then going to your shoot job and dealing with the pain from that. Plus wrestling. God.
Oh yeah, I've always had a good high tolerance for pain, so that's why I fit in so good with doing death matches. It just none of that stuff ever bothered me.
So, what was your favorite match stipulation when you was wrestling?
I like doing all of it, really. I mean, I guess really one of my favorites was fire, because fire is just that's one of the things you can't fake, I
Predict.
guess you would say. I mean, fire will burn you if you hit fire. So I like doing fire because it's the realism of it.
I got fucking. I was making cowboy coffee on the stove at my old house, and I had the oven door open about like that much, enough to heat up the kitchen, and I fucking fell into the stove. Well, when I went to get up, the coffee come down on me and burnt my whole side. I was borderline second degree burns, borderline third degree burns, and I'm like, well, yeah. And I'm a pyro, anyways. I love fire. I'll sit there and burn my hand like I did the other day, and I'm like, it's just fire, pop the blister, and it don't hurt us bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
So, who gave you a run for your money or took you to your limits?
I mean, I always thought I hung in there pretty good with everybody, but I mean, the hardest guy that ever punched me was Necro Butcher. I mean, that's the one
Oh,
guy.
oh,
That's one guy you're not going to try to test because it would do you no good at all. I promise.
yeah, you and Necro have had some good matches. I really thought you was gonna say Tank.
Well, yeah, I mean, Tank's one of those guys, and I'd say Spider Boudreau too was one of those guys.
Oh God, that damn
There's certain
chair.
guys like that those guys you can't hurt. You can't, no matter what you do to them, you're not going to hurt them.
Yes, sir, that is true. IWA Deep South Extreme Warfare 3. You laid a barbed wire drywall on Spider, and and done a elbow drop. Then Bryant Woods come out and attacked you. Would you speak on that?
Who was it came out? I don't even remember that.
Bryant Woods and
Oh,
IWA Deep South Extreme Warfare 3. He just
oh
when you
yeah.
did your elbow drop, he come out and just started attacking you for some reason. I was like, what the fuck?
I don't even remember that. I don't know why he did that. I guess just because I attacked his partner. I guess because they were tagging at the time. I don't remember. I don't remember why he done that. I don't remember what the reason for that was.
I watched it and I was like, maybe I missed something. So I
I
watched
need to go back and watch that too because I don't remember him doing that.
I watched all your matches. I was like, why what's the story for him to attack Freak Show for? Like,
Yeah, I want to say maybe they were trying to set something up with him and me and Spider or something. I don't really remember. It was something like that, I think. Of course, it was
yeah.
probably some stupid, dumbass stuff Kevin had planned, I'm sure.
So, what's your hobbies out of the ring now that you're not wrestling anymore?
Uh, Dude, I sit and chill with my puppies and listen to music most of the time. That's about all I do.
I know that you're into rock and roll and heavy metal. I just get that vibe.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like hard metal. I like shock rock. Anything crazy, anything that everybody else hates. That's what I listen to.
I understand that. Like, I listen to, of course, my wife. She don't understand like the heavy metal and the Slipknot, and she don't understand when they scream and play the bands and stuff. She's like, "Will you explain it to me?" And I'm like, "Just listen." They explain it. She's like, "Well, I can't get past the screaming," and I'm like, "Listen, honey, it's not
I
just
guess you just have
screaming."
to feel it or something. I don't know.
I'm like,
I just feel it. I feel it inside me. I guess.
I guess it's more towards it. With me having a dark traumatic past, I guess it just suits my soul and makes me like connect with it.
Yeah,
And their music and stuff, it soothes me.
yeah, yeah. It does me too. Yeah, I see like the humor in it. The more grotesque it is, it cracks me up because people are like, "Oh my god," and it's funny to me.
I know that you're a Slayer fan, so what's your
Oh,
favorite song by them?
wow. Where probably Seasons in the Abyss.
Ah, it's a good one.
I
Mine's
bought
gonna.
that. I bought that cassette tape in the eighth grade the day it came out, and I wore that thing out, and I love that song. The whole album's good, but that song's great.
I, I gotta say mine's what everybody else's is, and that's fucking Raining Blood.
Oh yeah, Rain and Blood, South of Heaven, Angel of Death, all those are good. Yeah,
And I honestly gotta say, I get the vibe that you're a ZZ Top fan too.
yeah. I like ZZ Top. Yeah, they got some good songs.
Southern rock, Southern rock, because I can tell also that you love Leonard Skinner. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry.
Oh
But you look
yeah,
like a guy that would go to a Leonard Skinner concert and just be like security or something.
it's funny to me. Like me and Lane would travel, do all these shows all over, and everywhere we went, all the fans would always ask us about Leonard Skinner. They're like, "Y'all listen to Leonard Skinner, man?" We're like, "Yeah, man, we love." Everywhere we went, everybody wanted to know about Leonard Skinner for some reason.
What's your favorite song by Leonard Skinner?
Wow. Probably On the Hunt. I like that one.
I like Freebird.
Freebird. On the Hunt is good.
My dad's
Tuesday's gone.
favorite.
Tuesday's gone.
Take on. My dad's favorite. Every time when I was younger, before the motherfucker walked out on me, excuse my French, he would get drunk and he would always play "Sweet Home Alabama." So I'm like,
Uh,
I know that song
to be
too well.
honest with you, I like that song, but when you live down here in Alabama, that's all you hear, like on the radio nonstop. So it gets kind of old.
I guess,
That's why
I guess,
I like their more obscure songs that don't get played a lot.
I guess, I guess it's that would be y'all's theme song. Alabama's theme song is "Sweet Home Alabama."
Oh yeah, they play it like they blast it at the
That was
football game and
Alabama.
everything.
national war chant. What the hell are you talking about? Sweet home. You hear that shit? Hey,
Yeah,
bro.
man,
Hey,
they
bro.
play that at the Roll Tide games there, man.
Brass off.
So, what was going through your mind after seeing the side effects of you slamming a Saint Lane on the shopping cart in Carnage Cup 1?
That shocked me. I couldn't believe that happened. Yeah, it did. I didn't think it was that bad, but when I seen him, I saw him like a week or two later at another show, and he's like, "Man, that shopping cart messed me up." And I'm like, "Really?" He pulled his shirt up, and his whole back was just solid black. It was nasty. I'm like, "Man, I don't see how he didn't have kidney damage or spleen damage or something. Man, that was bad."
That's one of my favorite Carnage Cup matches, and I know like it messed him up. I actually thought when I first seen it, it broke his back because he just goes down, and he's like,
Oh
"Y'all
yeah,
never
he
use."
bends in half over that thing.
Yeah, I was like, he's like, when we interviewed him, he's like, "Never use a shopping cart," and I'm like, "You're getting ready to talk about it, Carnage Cup 1 with Freak Show, ain't you?" And he's like, "Yep." I'm like, "Oh, that." Ugh.
Yeah, that
Like
thing didn't have no gear.
I like pain and I like watching death matches, but when that was just nasty.
Sometimes you find out things the hard way, I guess.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, will you speak about how the business has changed from the first time you stepped in to the last time you stepped in the ring?
Oh yeah, it really seems different now. That's why I feel like it's just a totally different world from how it was when I started. It it just like I said, there's just so many young guys now. And like I said, God love Madman Pondo and Necro Butcher and those guys for keeping on going. I hope they can go like Gypsy Joe and wrestle till they're 80 years old because it's a young man's game and it's hard to keep up with that. But at the same time, for me, it was just hard to keep up with the attitude because the attitude is not the same in the locker room to me as it was back in the day. It just the brotherhood don't seem there like it was. It just don't seem the same.
The young workers need to be hemmed up, in your opinion.
Plus, really for me, I guess I mean another reason I guess I left is I lost so many people right there at the same time. Like Spidar, he passed away. Then Colt 45 passed away. Then Tracy Smothers, then New Jack, and all those guys, they all died right there together. And those were my friends. And it just I don't know, that sucked the wind out of me. And I know it probably should have gave me more incentive to keep going, but I don't know, just that on compiled with everything else, just it really took it out of me. So I really don't keep up with it anymore. I don't watch it on TV. I don't talk to nobody about it. This is the most I've talked about wrestling in 4.5 years. So it's just I don't know. It's just like I'm not interested in it anymore. I'm proud of what I did, but I just what it is now is not what it was for me in the past. I guess is the best way to
Uh,
put it.
I gotta thank you for sitting down and, like I said, letting us pick your brain and stuff because you stepped out of the business and I understand that. And like you said, you're not really into wrestling anymore, but to sit down and for you to take time out of your schedule and your day to sit here and actually sit and just let us talk to you, it is more than a blessing. It's an honor.
Well,
Yes.
I appreciate the love for fans like y'all that watched us do it and kept up with what we were doing because if it wasn't for the fans, there wouldn't be no us. So,
Thank
but
you.
I mean, like I said, I'm proud of what I did. I worked hard. I killed myself. I hurt every day from the stuff I've done to myself. So, but I'm not complaining about it. I'd do it all over again. It's just like I said, it's just not the same for me anymore. And I don't hate it. I don't hate the guys that do it, but it's just not the same for me.
I mean, you can obviously tell. I bet you have some head damage with all those scars on your head.
I feel it every day, man. I've been hitting the head several thousand times with various hard hard objects. You see Ian Rotten hitting me in the head with a ball bat. Ian Rotten's hitting me in the head with a ball bat. He's not pulling it at all. He's hitting me as hard as he can hit me with a ball bat.
Oh shit, he shoot hit you.
Yeah, we had a barbed wire bat match, which was my first singles match with him. I think March of 07. I think it was March Madness was the show at Mid South. And it was we were clubbing each other with that bat. Yeah. we were there wasn't no pulling no punches with that.
Okay.
And then I mean guys like Necro, or you got those guys punching you and headbutting you and stuff. I mean, yeah, it's a wonder my brain hasn't leaked out my ears.
Dude, with what you've been through in the weapons and the contraptions and the older stuff that you've taken, I'm surprised that you're still going. No offense, but you Alabama guys,
it's not always easy, that's for sure. I mean, I can
you
feel
Alabama guys, workers are built different. Let me just say that.
Oh yeah, you have to be. You have to be to do that stuff. You can't be. It's not for everybody. Not everybody can do it.
When you speak on your history with Insane Lane, y'all was a tag team, but y'all had one hell of a rivalry also.
Oh yeah, we like I said earlier, there wasn't a lot of guys doing it down here, and especially like right here in North Alabama, where me and him were located. There was Spidar, which he was over in another area, but he would come over every now and then, and we'd get to work him, and we'd go over to his area and get to work with him. But me and Lane were really close right here together where we lived and stuff, and we worked the same promotions a lot. So I don't know what it is that got him into doing all that crazy stuff and everything. But yeah, we ended up getting to work each other, and it was always just so easy with me and him. We'd both bleed a lot. We could both take pretty much anything, and we always clicked. Had real good chemistry as far as wrestling with each other, and I guess I don't really know why they put us together. It just made sense, I guess, to do so, and go put us up against all the big mean nasty tag teams at Mid South. So they did that, and then from there we got booked at CZW back in the day, and we got put against each other at Tournament of Death back in 07. Well, I thought we killed it that day. I mean, I thought we did. I mean, I'm sure those fans probably thought we were just a bunch of dumb Southern jackasses, but shit, me and Lane beat the shit out of each other that day.
That one, and you and Corporal Robertson in the finals of King of the Death matches.
Oh yeah, that was one times I can remember climbing into the ring and just having a real eerie feeling, because there was like 5 million light tubes and barbed wire, and there was a lot of people at that show too. And funny story about that show, I was wrote down from night one all the way through to that final match to win the whole tournament. And then fans were coming up to Ian outside, like during one of the intermissions, threatening to not buy any more merch, not come to any more shows, not support Mid-South at all if Freak Show won that tournament. So he changed the finals right before Corporal Robinson's my music hit to go out for that last match. He said, I gotta put Corp over. And my name was under every one of the boys in the locker room knew Freak Show was supposed to win that tournament. Brain damage was pissed. He said, that ain't right. He said, Freak Show's name was underlined, and you've worked this whole angle for a year around Freak Show and Ian, this whole eye, taking out his eye and all that. I don't know if you remember all that, but we did that whole Deep South, Mid South feud, and it would have made sense to let Freak Show come up there and win the Mid South tournament that year. And then later on in December, have Ian come down in his supposedly final tournament and win that one. That would have made more sense to me, instead of putting Corp over again. He had done 1-1, which I have no problems with Corp at all. I love Corp. But why put him over again when the heat? I had people chasing me and Lane had people chasing us to our car, tearing his antenna off, trying to beat the window down.
What?
They hated us. They hated our guts. They thought I tried to kill Ian. I never touched Ian's eye. That was all Ian. Ian gigged his eye with a razor blade, and I just worked a staple gun. Never even touched his skin with it. And
That's fucking
they went
crazy.
and they posted it online that Freak Show tried to take out Ian Rotten's eye. And from there, it went to Freak Show's a yard tard, and he fucked up and really hurt Ian Rotten in a match. And it almost buried me, but it got me a lot of publicity, which I turned it around. I went back and had all those good fucking killer matches with he put me in there with Necro, Brain Damage, himself, all the beast he had. And I stood toe to toe with all of them and had great matches with all of them, I thought, anyways. So, I mean, shit, he went from not having hardly anybody in the crowd to having full houses when he had that Mid South, Deep South feud going. He
Oh,
come up to me in the locker room and said, "Thanks for the draw, kid. Thanks for the house tonight."
oh shit. I could have sworn, I could have sworn that you won one of the King of the Death matches, and then
I
when I
never.
got to looking, I realized no, he
I went
didn't.
all the way through '07.
I was like, no, he didn't win, but I could have sworn that you did. I know you won Carnage Cup 7.
Yeah, I won Carnage Cup in '07. I was in three of the King of the Death matches, but no, I never won. I should have won that first one that I was in, but because he put me through the ringer. I mean, I had Mitch Page night 1, then night 2 I had Necro, Brain Damage, and Corporal Robinson. All those matches within 24 hours of each other. And I had the heat. I had the crowd hating. We had the crowd hating us. We had the heat. We had everything. And then because some of the fans wasn't going to buy any more DVDs, he put Corporal Robinson on.
I mean, you went through 4 hard hitters.
Oh
So,
yeah,
like you said, it would only been right if you won. But Ian's all about his money, so.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was about the merchandise sales, I guess, more than making sense for the show, I guess. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever even told that story or not, but I thought I should.
Hey, that was a good story because, like, I I heard something that you were supposed to win a King of the Death matches, and then, like I said, I thought you did, but when I got to
Oh yeah,
looking, I
Insane Lane.
realized that you
Insane Lane.
didn't, and I'm like, what the hell? I thought he did win.
Yeah, I should have had it that year, but it's fine. I'm not mad. I'm not one of those guys. I've never been one of those guys that says you got to put me over. It never was my decision. It wasn't my decision at all to win Carnage Cup '07. That was totally somebody else. It wasn't Kevin either, thank God, really, but it was somebody else. But yeah, I've never been one of those guys, so I didn't get mad about it. It would have paid the same either way, so it don't matter. But yeah, it'd have been nice to get, my first time in it, got that win, especially since we had so much heat going at the time. And
Yeah.
I thought it would have made more sense anyway. But plus, like I said, I went through his 3, 4, toughest guys he had at the time, and
Yeah.
boom, boom, I should have knocked them all down, right? I mean, that would have made
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you went through 4 hard hitters, 4 of the hardest hitters probably going back in the day.
I mean, I love Court, and I had no problem putting him over anytime. But I think that time it would have just made more sense.
How did you come about working for Deep South and Kevin?
The Carnage Cup in '05 that got shut down. That day, I was at my house. I wasn't booked up until the day of the show. I was actually the last guy added to the show at all. He had somebody cancel or something, and he had hit Smooth up, who was like the commentator. I think he did some from Mid South too. Well, I know he did because he traveled with us. But Smooth was helping him like do the booking and stuff and calling guys for him. And Smooth had hit me up that day and said that I could ride down with Wayne if I wanted to come do Carnage Cup that evening or whatever. And I said, I don't, don't need to ride with him. I'll come anyway, whatever. I got people I can ride with. So that's how I got booked for that. I just ended up showing up for that, and from there it was on after that. That was my first one. That was actually 10 days after my mother passed away too. It was a really weird time for me.
Oh shit! Condolences, bro.
It
Condolences.
was, it was weird, but I mean it was like, her passing away, she became my angel and watched over me on the road to hell that I went through for those next 3 years. Oh,
I
oh
mean,
06, oh 07, oh 08, man. Me and Lane were hammering it hard.
oh God, wasn't y'all though? Y'all was just fucking each other up and fucking everybody else up.
Yeah,
Hey,
if we wasn't killing each other, we were killing somebody.
what is your worst injury or major one?
Actually, my worst one came in a regular match about 6 years ago now, I think. 5.5 years ago. I was wrestling in Lewisburg, Tennessee, and it's against a younger guy, smaller guy. He wanted to give me a jumping DDT where he just jumps up out of midair and grabs my head and shoots me down. And
Yeah.
somehow when he brought me down, I rolled on my right arm, and I thought I'd pop my shoulder out of socket.
Oh,
So it was hurting, and I was supposed to get up and grab a kendo stick and beat some dude with it, and I couldn't even use this arm. So I was just hitting him with my left hand, and I got to the back, and I'm like, oh shit, man, sorry about that. I hurt my arm, whatever. And I went on home. It was killing me all the way home. The next day, it was hurting. I got my girlfriend grabbed it, and I was like, please just try to pop it in place or something. It's killing me. And as soon as she touched it, it was like just shot pains all through me. And I'm like, no, don't touch it anymore.
God.
So I got a guy to come get me and take me to the hospital. And turns out I broke it. I broke the top part, this big bone in the top part of your arm. I broke it taking that DDT. That's the only broken bone I've ever had.
Holy
I guess you
shit.
could say that was my worst injury. Yeah.
Out of 11 Carnage Cups, 3 King of the Death matches, and that is the only. God, bless you. Got a guardian angel watching you.
Yeah, I think I counted. I think I think I was at 24 or 25 deathmatch tournaments altogether.
That is a lot.
It's a good bit, yeah.
So,
I
IWA,
think it was 24 because I never made it to 25. I wanted to do 25, but I never got that far. I don't think.
yeah, you was in the stiff tournament too, wasn't you?
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought you was. Uh, IWA Deep South Biting the Bullet, 2007. You and Insane Lane had a qualifier match for King of the Death matches, '07, and the Lane lays a light tube ladder on you and jumps off and wins. Would you speak on that?
Yeah, I remember that. He laid the light tubes upside down. If you watch it again, he's got them facing the wrong way. I think they're like facing him or something. So really, all the glass just kind of showers down on me. It don't really like stick in me or nothing. So it wasn't that bad.
That was crazy.
Yeah, that was
So,
a good match though. Up until that point, that was a good match. Yeah.
you should probably remember this one. Since you was there live, what was your thought process when John Wayne Murdoch split his shoulder open in Carnage Cup 9?
Get him a tea bag is all I could think because tea bag stops the bleeding. And so
Oh,
my doctor,
seriously?
I was actually bleeding real bad one night, and I had to call my doctor in the middle of the night, and he told me to put a tea bag on it. So yeah, tea bags to stop the bleeding. It clots the blood or something. So
Oh,
when I seen it, I was like, yeah, we need to get him some really big tea bags really quick because yeah, that was nasty. It looked like somebody took a chainsaw and got him all the way to the bone right there. It's pretty bad.
that one, when I watched it back, I wasn't expecting it. And I was on the phone with Squirrel, and all of a sudden I just started puking everywhere. And I got a strong stomach.
Yeah,
And he's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Here, you watch it." And he's like, "Oh God." And I'm like, that just, ooh,
yeah, it
that
was
was
bad.
just, I, oh, fuck, that
I,
one's
he
just,
he he came about as close as you can get to losing your arm as you can get. It was bad.
Jesus,
It
that
was to
is,
the bone.
oh, God. So, what's the biggest match of your career, in your opinion?
Oh, I've had some good ones. I mean, but I think the one that really helped me the most, probably, and got me anywhere that I would give anybody any kind of credit for, would be my match with Necro at Carnage Cup '06, the Type
Uh,
A Death from
no,
'06.
no, it was a good one.
Yeah, I actually wasn't supposed to wrestle him. It was dysfunction had went over me actually in round one, and was supposed to go through and work Necro round two. But he, when I give him that pile driver in our match in round one, he had his thumb up under him and it cut his thumb and he couldn't get it to stop bleeding. He hit an artery or something. So he went to the hospital to get sewed up. And they said, they just come up to me and said, "You're working Necro round two." And I'm like, okay, sure. All right. This
Shit.
should be fun. So yeah, and I didn't know what to expect at all. I mean, I knew I had heard of Necro, but I'd never been in the ring with him. So, but he took excellent care of me, and me and him was cool from that point on. I love Necro to death to this day.
Oh, I love Necro. He's funnier than fuck. He's always, talking about his wrestling and his matches and stuff. And he's looking to go to TOD this year, and I know he's going to go to Carnage Cup. So I'm like, let's see what you got, bud. I mean, I know
Yeah,
he's got it. So I guess I'm saying, let's see if you're going to win a tournament this year.
maybe he
So
will. I
what's
hope
the,
he does.
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I said maybe he will. Hope he does.
Um, was the sickle your gimmick weapon? I know you had a big one, and then you had like a little smaller one.
Yeah, I had a big one for a little while that I used, but I don't know, it was just so awkward and kind of hard to use. It was just the way it was made or something was kind of weird. But I don't know. I never really had, I guess you could say, a signature weapon. Later on, I just I duct taped a few baby dolls to a big old stick and started bringing them out and beating the shit out of people with baby dolls on a stick.
I'm not for sure if it was Ian or Insane Lane. It was somebody, but you had the big sickle, and you couldn't get positioned right to use it
Yeah,
right.
it wasn't like quite wide enough to fit around their head or something. It was just too small or something. Yeah,
So,
I had to
so
keep
you
bringing.
you like nickel, and then next thing you know, you sling the sickle, and you grab something else, and then another match you had a little smaller one, and you're just fucking cutting up their forehead, and I'm like, okay, this one must work better.
Yeah. You got to find you got to find what works best, I guess.
Yes, sir. So, Carnage Cut 10, round one. It was you and I'm gonna slaughter his name probably. El Nino Problemo. You
Yeah.
speak on wrestling in the ring covered stuff because the ring crew didn't clean up the ring. Nathan
Yeah, I
said that
remember
the
it.
outside of the ring, Nathan Hamilton was saying the outside of the ring is safer than the inside. And I gotta agree, like everything you can imagine was in that ring.
Yeah, it was kind of slick. It's like there was bottle caps and glass and stuff everywhere. And I remember they were like stuck all in the bottom of his boots and stuff. And that's the worst thing about all that stuff in those matches. It just sticks all to your shoes. And then once you do get on the concrete, it's really slippery and slick and can't hardly stand up. So I don't even remember what all was in there. It was so much stuff in there. Yeah, there was stuff everywhere in that match.
There was, oh God, I can't even tell you off the top of my head. I'm like, why the hell did they clean the ring? Did they say why?
I remember, yeah, when we bumped there towards the end of it in the ring, we didn't even hit the canvas at all. There was like none showing, I don't think.
There was like light tubes, bottle caps, fuck, um, barbed wire. There was I want to
Yeah,
say
tacks, everything, everything.
I
Yeah,
remember.
like you.
Remember Carnage Cup 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm
Yeah.
I
like, why didn't they clean out the ring?
shit, bro. I ain't even finished it yet. I kept wondering. I'm like, dude, somebody's gonna get themselves fucking hurt slipping on all this shit in this ring, bro. Somebody gonna fuck themselves up.
Kevin's never had a real good ring crew at all. He is certainly not known for his cleanup abilities at all. He'll leave a building trashed quick, like Guns N' Roses in the '80s.
Um, I went to Carnage Cup 14 last year, and they ring crew. I'm not for sure, who all they are, but they took pretty good care of the ring because I was in a slap fight against Cowboy Troy. You might know him. And
Yeah, I know Cowboy Troy. I know Cowboy Troy way too well.
I smacked the shit out of him, and I won. And
That's
I'm looking at the ring, and I'm like, this is pretty, decently clean compared to what I'm used to.
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that is
But
definitely unusual.
I didn't really have a problem with Kevin. Kevin was good to me. He just asked me to find Masada a ride to the airport. I'm like 5'10", and you got Kevin fucking towering over me, being like, Moose, can you find Masada a ride to the airport? I'm like, he's like, go down here and talk to Tyler Becker. And I'm like, who the hell is Tyler? And he's like, down here behind the U-Haul. And I'm like, okay. So I go down there and I'm over here talking to a guy named Dallas, and he's like, I'm Dallas. I'm not Tyler. That's Tyler. I was like, you're the only one by the U-Haul. And he's like, no, that's Tyler Moose. And I'm like, oh no, you don't like that.
Yeah, you don't never know what Kevin's gonna come up and say to you.
Kevin just cracks me up. He comes up the hill and where they're holding Carnage Cup at now, he's got a cigar in his hand, and I'm like, yo, boss man, I didn't know you smoked. And he goes, oh, only on special occasions, and it's just a cigar. And I'm like, I've never seen you smoke, never heard you smoke, never, knew anything about that. And he's like, well, now you do. And I'm like, do you only smoke around Carnage Cup, or is it like
Carnage Cup's a
every?
special occasion.
I mean, he had one of them big ass, looking like Cuban cigars, and he just looking around, and I'm like, what are you doing? Would you speak on taking a chair shot from Spidar? Because when he smacked you in Carnage Cup, we all know that when Spidar hits you with the chair, it wraps around your fucking head. But when he smacked you, that was like when Necro hit you in King of the Death matches.
Oh yeah, and just so you know, me and Spider had a whole lot more matches that were never put on film and video. So that's not the only time you've ever seen him hit me like that with a chair. Me and Spider have had many, many battles, probably just as many as me and Lane, but they just
Oh
didn't get put
shit!
on film. I was wrestling Spider way before Lane was around. And Spider was around not long after I got in. And he was like the only other guy besides me that would get in there and do anything before Lane showed up. And then, yeah, Spider. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have neck pain today and yesterday because of chair shots I took from Spider.
Oh shit!
And if he was here to tell you, he'll tell you that I've knocked several of his teeth out. He always wanted me to knock his teeth out when he had loose teeth. So, yeah, me and Spider hurt each other. We loved each other like brothers, but
Fucking
we
crazy!
hurt each other a lot.
That's fucking crazy!
That
Yeah, like
Spider Boudreau was the toughest man alive. While he was
they
here, he was the toughest man alive.
they always like Spiders. Well, I never got a chance to meet Spider. He was one of my favorite Deep South original guys, but he was like I was talking to like other people that's worked Spider and no Spider, and they're like, he's got way more matches that ain't been posted. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah, he'll never get the credit he deserves. He was doing it before me. I mean, as far as the extreme stuff,
oh shit.
back in '02 or '03, man, there wasn't nobody doing it down here. and he slammed a guy off a building on top of a minivan that had light tubes all over. I'm talking 30, 40,
Fuck.
30, 40 feet in the air. TOD shit. I mean, and he didn't, nobody ever, I mean, he never really got any credit for doing that stuff. And Spidar was crazy. He would jump off. You could tell him to go up on top of a water tower and come off, and he'd be like, all right, sure.
My two favorite Spider high spots was him and Matt Tremont and Carnage cut 8, I think it was, off the trailer because you was fighting I think it was Damian Payne Murdoch.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then my other one was him and John Rue when they climb up in the I don't know what you'd call it, that little bean pole thing, and they
Yeah,
just come crashing down together.
yeah.
Oh, that was fucking gruesome too.
Yeah, Spider took crazy bumps. He took some of the craziest shit I ever seen. Like you couldn't hurt Spider. There was no way you could hurt him. And he hurt it, and he only hurt himself. That's the only time I ever
My,
seen him hurt when he hurt himself.
my thing is, I was when I found out about Spider passing, I started crying. And my wife was asking me what's wrong, and I was like, one of my favorite wrestlers passed away. And she was like, well, who? And I was like, Spider Boodrow. I was like, man couldn't take him out, so they had to fucking have COVID-19 take him out because ain't nobody else going to take him out.
I know that was some bullshit for sure.
Yeah, COVID. I don't believe COVID. It was. I think it was. I think COVID's another like man. Another disease or whatever. They just changed the name on it and called it COVID.
Oh yeah, times are changing. They got to put more shit out there to take us all out. There's just gonna be too many of us around.
Exactly. And with the technology and the everything in these day and age, and you're going to tell me that you couldn't do something? That's like telling me that you can't stop cancer.
Yeah,
And you're in 2025. You're not in 1960 anymore. With the technology and how everything's evolved,
Because
I've lost.
has had for over years to cure the cancer. They're not going to release it because they can't make no money off of it. They greedy bastards.
that's right.
Exactly.
It's always
I've,
corporate or something.
I've lost half of my family, including my grandmother, to cancer. And, you
Man,
know, I've done been told, I was like, my doctor told me, she's like, you might contract cancer because of your whole family tree having cancer. It's wiped out your whole family. I'm like,
Yeah,
well, that's good to know. That's one way to just put it to me.
yeah. I kind of think we all kind of got a real good shot at it the way it seems. Because nowadays they say everything is going to give it to you. So
Yeah,
I mean, hell, breathing the air give you cancer now.
drinking
yep.
too much water will give you cancer.
I was
Yeah,
on, I was on a
that's why you
live the other day.
just smoke a lot of weed and it'll fight it all off.
Yep. I was on the phone a live stream the other day, and this guy's like, you smoke, that causes cancer. And I looked at him and I leaned in and I said, what don't cause cancer, buddy?
Yeah, what don't
I'm like,
question?
I said, I sat down and talked to a cancer doctor when my grandmother was going through it. Or she was like, I'll tell you what, honey. She said, you can go eat biscuits and gravy right now and probably contract cancer because of all the stuff
Yeah,
that they put in it
yeah,
now.
yeah.
She's like, back
It
in the
was made. It
60s,
was made in metal pan, so you could get it off that metal pan.
back in the 60s and the 70s, cancer was common, but now it's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
So who was your actual like biggest rivalry? I know you and Lane and you and Spider.
Me and Ian had a pretty good rivalry going there for a minute when I
Yeah,
first
you
came
and
to the
Ian.
South. We had several matches there for a while, and yeah, him, Lane. That's probably the biggest one. Yeah, Lane. My rivalry, my all time long lasting rivalry with Lane, and that real hot rivalry I had with Ian there for a minute was probably the top one I remember.
So here's a question I got from you and Ian. If I'm not mistaken, it might be you and Lane. But which one would you say is worse, light tubes or light bulbs?
I never liked just the light bulbs because they were so hard to break, and when they did break, they would cut the shit out of you. So I don't know, just the effect off the light tubes is better to me. They pop like a shotgun blast, and they go everywhere. And if you do them relatively safe, you're not really gonna get hurt that bad with them. I mean, there really ain't no way around it sometimes, but I mean, they ain't that bad. They're not as bad as they look, I guess, is what I would say.
I took a one single light tube, and I did it because we got to 100 subs, but I also wanted to prove to people that it's not fake, it's real. And afterwards, here's the funny thing: like I went to go get the shower because my back was bleeding, obviously. And my wife's like, "Hold on, babe." She's like, "Turn around." So I turned around, and I had a piece of light tube stuck like that, just hanging off. And I'm like, "Okay." And afterwards, a few days later, she's like, "You got a scar on your back." And I'm like, "Yeah, I've been hit with riot shields and shit." She's like, "No, it's from the light tube if you actually look at it." I'm like, "One single light tube gave me a scar." And she's like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
honey."
yeah,
And I'm like,
they're very sharp. So yeah, they will cut the crap out of you. It's just that it's so sharp you don't really realize it, and you really don't feel it that bad.
I thought that it had to be like bundles or, getting hit multiple on top of multiple on top of multiple times like y'all do before you start contracting scars. But I never thought that one single tube would fucking give you a
Yeah.
scar. My wife, she'll look at my back when I'm shirtless and she's like, "There's a scar." And I'm like, "I don't even feel it. I've never even seen this fucking scar."
I still have broken pieces of glass that protrude out of my skin and my head and my back and my arms all the time.
That's
I'll just be sitting there and just there'll be a piece of glass and I'll just kind of work it out and get it out of my skin. Yeah, it'll stick in you. It will.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. Like, glass is okay to have in you because it'll work itself out, or
Yeah,
it won't really
yeah,
bother you. But if you get like wood in your system, you have to get it out instantly.
yeah. Wood's pretty bad. It's different. Yeah.
Speaking about the eye from earlier, can we ask about when it looked like you drove the spike into Ian's eye because they were saying that he lost vision in it, like
Yeah,
20%,
they sure was.
30%.
Nothing like that happened at all. I didn't even touch. Like I said, I didn't even touch him. I didn't even touch him at all. The spike never even got near his eye. Really, he took a blade and juiced his eye. That's where the blood came from. This was
So
all
that
his idea. This was all his idea. He came up with all this in the back, and then why he picked me to be the one to go with it, I don't know. I figured since he did, I should do the best I could and just make something out of it. And yeah, we ran with it. And like I said, he had a guy that was helping him run Mid South at the time. I don't know if you remember him, named Jim Fannin. He did a lot of announcing and
Yep.
stuff for him. Well, they had messaged him right after it happened that Freak Show, yeah, got him in the eye with the spike or whatever. And then Jim Fannin posted that some yard tard from Alabama, that untrained hillbilly, stabbed Ian in the eye and really hurt him. And Ian wore a patch and everything at the Mid South shows. He worked AJ Styles in the locker room. AJ's like, "You all right? You okay, Ian? Everything all right?" This was later on while Ian had his patch and everything. And he's like, "You all right? I heard about that." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm good." And, he didn't smarten him up that it's all a work. Ian didn't have nothing right. He never lost anything with his eye. I never touched his eye. That was all a
That's
work.
where when you went in King of the Death Matches, that's why they were screaming about you being a piece of shit backyarder and everything.
Yes,
And when they
yes.
announced,
They thought I was just some dumbass that went around hurting people, just some fat guy couldn't do nothing but stab people with shit. And hell, I ran with it. I took it. We got all those bookings, and I showed them. Hell, I'm more than that. I can do more than that.
that's where the after the ring announcer said that you were from the deep south. That's why the fans started shitting on you.
Yeah, they hated us. And those Mid South fans were like, yeah, cult people, man. They worshipped Ian. And to think that I had the unmitigated gall to get my untrained dumbass in there and stab him in the eye with a spike because I didn't know what I was doing. They was all a work. I never touched his eye. This was all Ian's idea the whole time. I didn't.
Did
I,
you?
I didn't do anything. He gigged his eye, made it bleed. He wore the patch, everything.
That's fucking crazy. Did you ever want to like come out and admit that it was all fake? Or
No,
was it?
I let it roll. I let him roll with it. That's just something you do. We done went through the trouble of starting it like that. I figure we'll just work it. I mean,
Fuck
everybody, like
yeah.
I said, he's working AJ Styles in the locker room with it. Shit, what else can I do? I'm gonna go with it. Yeah, but
Okay, very well.
I mean, why didn't these guys pick up on that? I'm sitting in the same locker room, 2 feet away from Ian. I
That
mean,
that
I,
should
I just
say
kind of,
something.
I just heard him, but I'm still in the locker room with him, talking to him.
That
But
should
a
say
lot of the
something because
workers didn't. A lot of the workers thought I was the same way. They thought I was untrained and didn't want to be in there with me. A lot of them were leery of getting in there with me.
I'm sorry, but if you're going to try to take my eye out or take my eye out, I'm going to do something about it. That you
Oh
should,
yeah,
them workers,
that was
they
all
should
just a
put
work.
they
Ian
would
had a
do it
lot
again.
of Ian had a lot of old school ideas, and that was old school to me. I liked it because it worked down here in the South for sure. And he knew how his people were going to react when they found out some big fat dumbass in Alabama stabbed him in the eye and hurt him. So he knew that was money, and we were once he got back to Mid South, he was packing his houses out. I mean, we were packing the building out.
I've
And
always
if
said that.
you go back and watch some of the shows before that, he didn't have 30, 40 people in the crowd. He
That's
went from
true.
30, 40 people to 200, 250 people in the crowd.
God.
Just because we did that, and it was all a work. It wasn't real. That shit wasn't real.
Ian is the Vince McMahon of independent wrestling. I've
Yeah.
always said that.
I respect everything he's done as far as in the ring and his brain as far as his matches and stuff. But yeah, he's questionable as far as his business practices, I guess, and stuff. But yeah, you got to respect what he's done in the ring, and I always did. And he worked with me. We had great matches. I thought. I mean, we beat the crap out of each other too. I mean, that's why he liked working me because he could really stab me in the head with a fork. And he could really punch me in the face, and I didn't care. And he's the same way though. He'll let you do the same.
So you prefer your wrestling to be like shoot, right?
Well, when we got to Mid South, me and Lane first showed up at Mid South. We had a tag match against Pondo and Too Tough Tony. And me and Lane are big dudes. I was nearly 400 pounds at the time, and he was big too.
There's
And
no way you can look it.
you watch that first match, we were kind of light in there with those guys. And I remember Ian came up to us in the locker room after that match, and he said, "You two guys are big, mean looking dudes." He said, "I want the rest of the workers to be afraid to work y'all." He said, "I want y'all to be so stiff, so hard, so just over the top that these guys need to be afraid of you. I want my workers to be scared to get in the ring with y'all." So from that point on, we balls to the wall. We're knocking teeth out. We're forearming the shit out of people. I mean, headbutting shit. We got stiff after that. I did. And then from that point on, that's what kind of, especially after working guys like Necro and people like that, you kind of got to be stiff or you're going to get the shit beat out of you. You better hit them back and let them know you're there or they're just going to pound you into the ground. So you kind of got to learn to be stiff working people like that. Brain damage is another. He was another one. That guy, he'd knock your face off if you let him, and he'd just keep doing it. So you got to be stiff back with it. And these guys can take it. I mean, you're not going to hurt guys like that at all. These guys can take it back. I mean, it ain't like they just wanted to beat the shit out of you. But I mean, that's what Ian wanted. So that's kind of how we just started being stiffer. And so yeah, we beat well, especially when we worked each other. Me and Lane, we were really stiff with each other.
Yeah, fucking, it didn't help with brain damage having that fucking bionicle on.
Yeah, yeah, he had one. That's for sure. Yeah, he
And
seen you.
one,
Corporal
I
Robinson
was
was
like,
another. Corporal was another one. Corporal had a good punch too.
a lot of the older guys, I'd like to see a lot of the older guys if they could still get in the ring and go against some of these younger boys.
Yeah, yeah. It makes me wonder that sometimes too.
Just see if these younger guys can take it.
Yeah. That's the one. It's just like I said, like guys like Necro and Pondo and myself. You're not gonna hurt guys like us. So I mean, it's just what are you gonna do? You're not gonna. There's nothing you can do to hurt us unless you're gonna pull out a gun and start shooting or something.
Literally, with all of y'all
And
legends,
that may not work. I ain't guarantee you that's gonna work. Better
and
aim for the
literally,
head. Better aim for the head.
and don't use no fucking handgun. You might want to use a damn shotgun.
Yeah, get something with some big ammo,
I
big
mean,
giant
like,
ammo.
if you look at, like these older wrestlers like yourself and Necro and Ian and shit, there's not much that y'all ain't done. And it explains why y'all are so tough because training was tough. And then when you put in the ring, you get put in the ring with somebody that's tough, if not tougher than you. So it's either cowboy up or tuck your tail between your
Oh yeah,
legs and run off like a pussy bitch.
that's it. That's it. It's like with Ian. You come up there, he's gonna put you in there with his best guys, his toughest, hardest hitters. Just to see if you can take it. Because yeah, I mean, like you said, you gotta either knuckle up with these dudes or you're not gonna be around long. And the fans know it, especially like CZW. When we went there, those fans will. If you're not doing, if they know you're not doing all you can to, just kill yourself, basically, they will boo you out of the building. I mean, you won't be back, and that's why when me and Lane went, we knew we had to kill each other, and I would say we did okay and did all right because Zandig interrupted our promo backstage without us even knowing about it and said, he wanted us to come back, and anybody wanted to see us come back, let him know and stuff like that. So we weren't expecting that, for the man that owned the company to come up and be like, "Hey, you guys did great," you know. So yeah, well, I think they were they thought we were just Mid South guys, and at that time they were, the CZW fans were, kind of iffy about Mid South fans. It was kind of like a little war going on, but I don't know. We went up there and we showed them what we could do. We represented for the Deep South, I thought.
I now don't see how you and Masada's never linked up.
We were supposed to.
Oh shit.
King of the Death Matches 2014. I believe it was Albany, Indiana. I ended up working Corporal Robinson, but I was booked against Masada. And I never found out till after the show that Ian never even bought him a plane ticket to come to the show.
What the fuck?
Yeah, here I was thinking, well, Masada just don't want to work me, I guess. He ain't going to bother to show up. But turns out Ian didn't even get him a plane ticket to get from Texas to Indiana to do the show. So that made the match a little more difficult to take. And that really disappointed me because he's the one guy I wish I could have gotten in the ring with because I totally respect everything he's done. He's a beast. And I think that would have really been the true test right there. I think that's the true test for anybody that gets in the ring with Masada.
I was how familiar are you with the England wrestling?
Not very familiar, especially now. Like I said, I don't keep up with anything anymore,
Okay,
really.
so have you ever heard? You might have heard Ian telling a story about Iceman from England.
I have heard of him before.
So Ian went over there to England for Gorefest 2006. Well, Iceman was supposed to come over here to do King of the Death matches. Well, he asked, Iceman asked Ian, he said, Ian said, we'll come over to America and do King of the Death matches. He said, okay. He said, are you paying me? Ian said, of course. He said, are you paying for my flight? Ian said, no, that's your problem. He said, I'm not paying for nothing but you working for me. Iceman said, well, I'm not coming then.
That sounds like Ian. That sounds like Ian. That's what he
He's
told
like,
us. He don't owe anybody anything but what they did, the money for their match. He ain't worried about your gas money, your trans, anything like that. All he's gonna pay you is your money for your match. Yeah,
he's like, I'll come
that's what
over
that
and
sounds true.
he's like, I'll come over and wrestle. That's no problem. He said, but are you paying for my ticket, my expenses? And Ian's like, no, that's on you. That's your problem. And I'm like, what the
Yeah,
hell?
don't work very well that way.
With you being in every single Carnage Cup, from Carnage Cup 1 to 11, and every cup out during the last one, what's the craziest thing you've thought of doing or you was asked to do?
The craziest thing Kevin ever asked me to do is pay for that little what's it got, a little plaque he got me for being in the IWA Deep South Hall of Fame. He gave me a Spidar a plaque during I think it was Carnage Cup 2012. You might remember that. I don't know if anybody remembers that. He kind of just walked out and handed it to us after it was over. And then after giving it to us, he walks up and says, "Hey man, you give me $30 on that plaque, man." I swear to God, he did. Tried to make me pay for my own plaque that I had. Yeah, that's the craziest thing. No, for real though. No, probably the craziest thing at Carnage Cup I ever seen was probably, and the year I won, probably because 3 people went to the hospital that night in Pulaski. I remember that. It just everybody seemed like everybody was getting hurt that night.
Oh
I know.
shit.
Yeah, Drake cut his ear
Yeah.
on the light tube, had to go get it sewed up. Scotty Vortex had cut his thumb or one of his fingers, maybe his pinky finger or something real bad. He ended up having to go to the hospital. And then Deranged, when he dropped his leg on me or whatever off the ring during our match, he kind of either broke the bottom part of his leg or his ankle
Oh
or something.
yeah.
And then they had to load him up in a van and take him to the hospital. Like 3 people, yeah. That was crazy to me. And then seeing 3 people go to the hospital in one night like that, when usually hardly anybody ever had to go. The only thing crazy that we ever really came up with that we didn't do that I wanted to do, I don't know if you remember, I worked him a few times. A guy named Cody Kruger. I think
Yes.
he might have been in one of those Carnage Cups, I think. He was from
Hey,
like Louisiana or Southern Mississippi or something, and he hunted alligators. And I told Kevin I would do a match with a live alligator with him if he wanted to, and it never happened. Call it like a swamp people death match or something, but we
That
never
would have
did
been
do it.
fucking cool.
that even sounds like a concept.
Yeah, I would have done that. Yeah, he said he's like, man, I can bring like a little 5 or 6 foot alligator or something. I'm like, hell yeah, man, I'll do it. I don't give a shit if it bites me. But
So what's the craziest thing you've ever done in your career?
mm, the craziest really to me was probably the fire match with Ian we had because we did it without shirts on. And
Yeah, I think
most guys wear like 2 shirts and then wet themselves down with like 2 gallons of water so they don't get burned or catch on fire. And Ian said before we went out, he's like, "This is what's gonna make ours different. We're gonna go out with no shirts." And yeah, he still got scars to this day across his back, 2 big red stripes across his back. And I burnt my side up pretty good, but it's not really scarred real bad from it.
oh shit.
But yeah, that was pretty crazy. And I think it was WrestleMania or WrestleMania or whatever it was, where me and Bryant took a big bump off the ladder from the ring, like a 20-foot ladder. We're on top, and Spider pushes it, and we bumped through a table on the floor. That was crazy because I'm scared of heights. That's one thing I am definitely scared of is heights, and I was leery about doing that all day. But it wasn't that bad. It didn't end up being that. It looked good. It ended up looking good on film.
You didn't. You did not look like a man that's scared of heights.
I am. I'm scared to death of heights. I am. But I'll fly in a plane and a helicopter anytime, but I don't like climbing up anything high. And the thought of jumping off or falling off kind of scares me. But yeah, anything on the ground you want to do, I'm good with. But yeah, I don't like climbing up high stuff. That's why I always, if Kevin wanted me to do something off something high, I always point to Spider. I'm like, you get Spider. He'll jump out of an airplane without a parachute. He don't care.
Would you ever consider lacing your boots back up?
I wouldn't say I would never ever do it again, I guess, but right now I definitely don't have no intent. I mean, I got hit up a few weeks ago to come do a show, and I sent them just a ridiculous price, and of course they turned it down. But hell, they hit me up, so I figured they'd pay me, but they didn't want to. So I sit at the house, and then I've recently I seen where Deranged he hit me up and asked me if I was getting the itch again. He wants me to come do some more Cult Fiction shit with him or something.
Oh
And
fuck!
that's really the only thing I got that I heard anything about. But that would be cool to me. But I just got to get a little more want to in me first, I guess.
Now, I gotta ask: would you, being who you are, would you ever step back into a Carnage Cup ring?
Like I said, I don't think I'd ever say never.
Oh,
I mean, I don't know. Kevin's mad at me though, so I don't know, and I don't know. I don't even really remember why he got mad. He gets mad at me all the time. He always did, always has, all these years. But he knew I was his damn workhorse, and he knows it. But I wanted it to be consistent where I was always at all of them, and I didn't want it to end up being like it is now. But Kevin does things his own way, and I don't know. I guess I don't know. We got to where we wasn't thinking the same or something on things, or I don't know. I don't really know. He seemed like maybe he changed a little bit and started thinking a little different, and I don't know. We just had a falling out. I really don't know why he got so mad at me. I don't even remember what I said. It wasn't that bad. I know that. I didn't dog him or cuss him or get personal. So I don't really know why he got so mad or anything like that. But I wouldn't say I would never do it again, but I don't know. You just have to wait and see. And like you said, in wrestling, you can't never say never.
Kevin.
That's why I never retired. I wanted to go on and say I'm done, I'm retired, I'm through, because that's so cliche for people to do that and come right back. And if I did want to come back, I'll come back when I'm ready. But I didn't want to say, "Well, I'm retired and I ain't doing it no more." I didn't want to. I didn't think it was that big a deal anyway. I didn't think anybody'd give a shit if I retired.
Kevin, I know you watch the channel.
I want to do a
Freak
slap
show
fight
bet.
with Kevin. I want to do a slap fight with Kevin, or a death match.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
I'll come
Kevin
back
just
if Kevin will work me. I'll come back.
Oh shit! Kevin just got called out. Oh my fucking god! Oh my god!
I'll be sweet to him. I'll be sweet.
Holy fuck! I've never heard a wrestler call a promoter out. Holy shit! Let's fucking go! Come on! That would be amazing.
Hell yeah.
So
they might come. Somebody might come watch that. I don't know.
Hey, I would.
I would.
Probably a lot of wrestlers show up to watch that. Yeah.
Yes, that would be one for the fucking books to see you step in the ring with Kevin.
I think it'd be hilarious to get to wrestle Kevin.
He likes doing the slap fights and stuff. So I'd like to see him do one. I want to see Kevin smack the shit out of somebody or
That would
I,
be fun.
I mean he's a big man. He's tall.
Yeah,
He's
he's a good guy.
he's
Yeah,
muscular. So
yeah.
I don't think he'd get knocked out in the first round or two. I think he'd give you a run for your money. So yeah,
I
come
better
on,
be
Kevin.
quiet. I better be quiet. He probably whooped the shit out of me. I better be quiet. I'm just talking big. Don't hurt me, Kevin. Don't hurt me.
All, all you gotta do, boss man, is take those glasses off, and hey, I'll stand on the ringside like Dallas did. I'll stand up there. Come on, Kevin. Hey, I'm going neutral though. I'm going fucking neutral.
It'd be great. It'd be great.
So, what is your thoughts on being the longest Deep South heavyweight champion? You held the belt for 749 days, from February 26, 2011, all the way to March 16th, 2013.
Yeah, it really wasn't my fault, I guess. I was ready to go. I was more than ready to win that belt and defend it every week, every day. I didn't care. But you can blame all that on Kevin. I had it that long for Kevin because he wasn't running no damn shows. He got cheap and didn't want to pay for no buildings, and he wasn't running nothing. I don't remember all the reasons that were factored in at the time, but he just wasn't running no shows hardly, just here and there, very few. And I mean, sure, I could have lost it, but I mean, I had it so long, it got to the point where I think everybody probably forgot I even had it. It just, I don't know. It would have been better if he could have ran more. It would have meant more if he could have ran more. But
Uh, uh,
I appreciate him thinking enough of me to let me win it. I mean, I didn't think I was worthy of actually winning the heavyweight belt, but I appreciate it, that they thought enough of me to put it on me and let me run with it. And I mean, why not? I was the guy that been there from pretty much, he started doing the crazy, crazy stuff. So why not?
uh,
But yeah, I would have loved to drop it somebody in some kind of good angle if we could have wrestled once a month somewhere, and had it on the line and stuff. But Kevin just wasn't running no shows, and yeah, just wasn't no matches for hardly any matches. And then in the matches I did have, there wasn't no build up for because there wasn't enough shows to run to build them up to. Just no reason to lose it, I guess.
I love Deep South, but I just wish Kevin would run more shows. He
Yeah,
runs like twice
that
a
was
year.
always that was always my biggest thing with him. Just he always felt like he had to pay everybody so much and just have these big elaborate cards and shows, and you couldn't do it without this much X amount of money. And I was like, Kevin, it don't matter. These guys, it don't matter that much to these guys. You can take some of the money and you ain't got to pay everybody that much. And you ain't got to pay for this big fancy building. Just find a building somewhere. Find somewhere. It don't matter. Just somewhere to set up some chairs. We're hot right now, and you can get the film crew to come. They'll film it no matter where you're at. So yeah, it was always, he seemed like the money was the factor, I guess, and everything. But I mean, he did pay more than everybody else. He always paid me way better than Ian or anybody else did. So I can't say
I heard
nothing bad about him on that. Kevin took care of me.
I've heard very highly of. I've interviewed basically all the Deep South locker room, and I've heard very highly that he's the top when it comes to paying.
And other than the very first Carnage Cup that got shut down, and my money's always been there before the show. When I get there, he's got my money ready. But that first Carnage Cup, the one that got shut down where he was panicking and shitting his panties and didn't know what to do, he went out and got in his truck and hid in the bushes with the money box and didn't want to pay nobody that night. But Spider found him. Spider found him in his truck and got his money. And me and Lane were no. I'm wrong. Lane found him. Lane found him in his truck about to leave with the money box that night. And Lane was getting his money. And when we spotted him, me and Spider walked around the building and said, "Oh shit, there's Lane." And Lane said, "Hey, Kevin's over there with the money box about to leave. If y'all want to get paid, you better go find him." And we walked right up. We walked right up on him sitting in his truck and said, "Hey, you gonna pay anybody tonight?" We worked, my God, you better pay us. I know not everybody got to work on that show, but we did. So we wanted our money, which he didn't pay us hardly nothing that night because I know he lost his ass. But that was, yeah, a funny story with the boys always, Spider and Lane and all of us. Kevin was hiding in the bushes that night with the money box. He was trying to find a way out of there with it. So he didn't lose his ass because they shut the mayor and police and everybody showed up and shut that show down before half the workers even got to work. So yeah, he was panicking that night. He thought it was all over that night. And that was my first there. So yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Just give me my money. I don't know what's going on.
I've interviewed, like I said, a bunch of the boys, and they've always said, you know, their money's in an envelope. As soon as they get there, Kevin hands them their money. And
yeah, like I said, after that, yeah, the money was always good, and it was always there after that. So I guess he made it right after that for sure.
Now, I couldn't really, I've heard, but I couldn't find nothing. Would you speak on your time wrestling for JCW?
Yeah, all I did for JCW was the Gathering in 08. That's the only time I wrestled for them. But man, those 2 nights, what a story! Those 2 nights, hell. Oh man! So we were there, and okay, the wrestling show at the Gathering of the Juggalos don't start till about 1 o'clock in the morning. After after all the concerts are over and the music stopped and everything, the wrestling ring and all the lights and big stage and everything for it is set up in a different part of the grounds there. So all the people come over to that. So yeah, there's like several thousand people there watching you wrestle, and I mean, you've been up all day. You've been out there in that hot sun where we were, because it was outside in 08. I don't know if it still is or not, but it was then. And it was hot, and we just been up all day and stayed in a hotel room the night before. And oh man, by the time 1 o'clock in the morning gets here, you're not ready to go out and wrestle. So yeah, that was a story. But I actually tagged with Meatball the Midget against Pondo and Short Dog the Midget. And they made Meatball dressed like me and Short Dog guy dressed like Pondo. So it's like a mini Pondo and a mini Freak Show against Pondo and Freak Show. And the match probably lasted 3 minutes, because if you've ever seen any of the JCW shows from the Gathering, the crowd's throwing everything that's not knelt down in the ring. So there was 3-liter bottles coming in the ring. There was gallon jugs of whiskey coming in the ring. There was lawn chairs being thrown in the ring, battery, 20-ounce bottles, full cans of energy drinks, everything they could throw. I mean, I'm talking gallon glass jugs of whiskey being thrown in the ring at you while you're trying to wrestle. So yeah, those matches usually don't last long at the Gathering. So yeah, I remember that, and the main thing I remember about it is all the awesome names they book at those shows. I met Roddy Piper, Abdullah the Butcher, Hall and Nash, Gangrel, Raven, Brian Hobbs. Funny story about Hobbs, actually. The second night, I worked the first night. That was the first night. The second night, I didn't have a match. Lane had one because he was tagging with Ian or whatever, doing the Bloody Brothers thing or whatever. And I was just kind of there. I had my gear and everything in case they needed somebody, but I didn't have a match. And I rode with Lane, so I wasn't going back till he left. And Brian Hobbs didn't have a match. The nasty boy guy, Brian Knobs, what's his name?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why I call him Hobbs. I should call him Cobb. He was there, and I was up at the backstage area where you could see out the curtain and watch the show or whatever, standing next to Dan the Beast Severn on one side, Roddy Piper right here on this side of me. We're sitting there watching
Oh,
JCW. I'm thinking this is the coolest moment of my whole entire life. Because I was next. That's where you talk about legends right there. Piper and Dan the Beast Severn on both sides of him. But anyway, the Brian Knobs was up there with us, and he's fucked up. He's drunk. He's taking pills. He got caught smoking crack in a porta potty.
yeah.
He's messed up. And they really didn't realize it at first. I guess the clowns didn't. Jay and Shaggy. So they're like, yeah, let Freak Show work Brian Knobs. We'll put them in a match tonight. But he's so fucked up. He walks between me and Roddy Piper, and there's probably about eight steps to get down the backstage area, and he just falls off the whole stage down all the steps, right in front of me and Piper. And me and Piper just look at each other and start laughing. We're like, man, he's messed up, ain't he? And so they were gonna let me work him. I'm getting my gear out, getting it on, and finally the clowns decide he's too fucked up to wrestle. So I didn't get to wrestle the second night because Brian Knobs was so messed up.
Oh, I would have been fucking pissed.
I was gonna kill him because I knew he was so messed up. I said, Lane, I'm gonna be famous after tonight, Lane, because I'm fixing to beat the ever loving motherfucking shit out of Brian Knobs. I was gonna beat the fucking hell out of him just because he was fucked up like that. But I didn't get my chance. Damn it.
So,
I wanted to.
what's one thing you think wrestling or deathmatch wrestling has lost over the years?
I think now mainly the main thing it's lost is the realism. They've took the blood away, basically, especially on like TV. Back when I was starting, the Attitude Era was in. It was all about going through tables and getting hit with chairs, and ECW was hot as shit. And that's what made me want to wrestle. I watched ECW. I watched every pay-per-view. ECW was where it was at. I would have fit in. I'd have been right at home at ECW. But, there is no wrestling like that anymore. And I hate to say that I don't think there'll ever be wrestling like that again. And I hate that, but I don't think the guys are willing to do it anymore. It's like it's a different breed of guys now, and we're the last of a dying breed. Like I said, Pondo and Necro and guys like that, you see doing it, you better watch them and you better enjoy watching them, because once they're gone, you're not going to see that stuff anymore. Very, very little of it, I think.
There's some workers that'll get in there and, do it. For me, I think that wrestling and death matches has lost the story and the meaning behind it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's just all about acting and being big Hollywood stuff now. It ain't about being, having a story to. It ain't about making matches make your story anymore. It ain't about that anymore. The matches used to tell the story, but it don't anymore. Now you get to act off screen to tell your story. Then you go out for 3 minutes and do 42 high spots in 3 minutes, and that's a match now. That's what a match is now. To me, it's kids out there slapping their legs and doing stupid shit like that's what it is now. There ain't no guys forearming each other in the jaw hardly anymore. I mean, there is, but it's slowly filtering out. I do believe.
I didn't watch the match because I can't stand this motherfucker. But how was it wrestling Mr. California? Will you speak on it?
He's easy to wrestle. He's kind of a goof. Yeah, he brought guys to California to put himself over guys. if you've ever noticed that, he beats everybody that comes out there. And everybody's been out there pretty much, from Ian to me to J.C. Bailey and everybody. He's like, come on, man, come to California. Well, sure, we're going to go to Los Angeles for a free trip to Los Angeles because he'll pay for your flight and he'll pay you to come wrestling. But yeah, you're going to lose to Mr. California because he's the baddest son of a bitch that ever lived. In case you figured it out, most promoters, 99.8% of promoters are scum. Scum,
Yeah.
shitbag, ass shitheads. Think they're great, ain't shit.
True.
Yeah,
Mm,
I said it.
I could say one right now.
They're definitely a bunch of cheapskate bastards. That's for fucking sure. I've
Right.
sent families of promoters on vacations because I drew houses.
So would you say that it's harder to wrestle your tag team partner or the same as anyone else?
It was actually easier, because we knew we could be rough with each other, and it wasn't gonna matter. We're still gonna be brothers when the match was over, no matter what we did to each other. So yeah, it was really easier. It was more nerve wracking to be in there with somebody you'd never been in there before and didn't know nothing about. That's more nerve wracking because you don't know what to expect. But yeah, when you've been in there as many times as we had with each other, yeah, it's just like just like walking in the park, nothing to it.
Thank you. That's all my questions. But